bosses. Something that has been in every Zelda game. This list was very hard to make, because the bosses in Zelda games aren't always the most memorable parts to us.
While there are many cool, huge and great bosses in the series, we feel that a lot of them are really basic and easy, so picking the best wasn't an easy task. Especially when we're counting from both 2D and 3D games here.
We base our choices on their appearance, backstory, variety, creativity, and just how fun it is to fight these. One of these criteria might easily overgo the others, by the way.
Mind you, we will not include final bosses here. That's for another list for another time. We won't limit the choices to one boss per game either. We are simply picking the 10 boss battles we like the most. Also, there will be a few spoilers here, just so you know.
With that said, we're the Also Triforce, I'm Owner 1.
And I'm Owner 2, and this is our top 10 bosses from the Zelda series. Minish Cap is an underrated Zelda game. It looks great, sounds great, and plays very good. Not all bosses here were significant, and while many would probably go for the GLEEROK pair as their favorite from this game, we go with GLEEROK. GLEEROK.
Whoa. I thought we were going for GLEEOK from the first game?
But I thought...
to hell with it. Let's go with both. They're a bit similar and both are good.
Alright, as I was gonna say, GLEEROK is a fun battle. It looks like a fossilized dragon, which is really cool, and it lives in lava. It spew out fire, make rocks and fire fall down from the ceiling, and raise the lava level. It's sort of an intense battle, and there's a very unique way to defeat it by the use of the Cane of Pocky. It flips its shell upside down so that the spike hurts it, and you can walk across its neck to attack the weak point. It's really cool.
GLEEOK, on the other hand, is the boss we find to be the best in the original game for the NES. He is a two-headed dragon found in the 4th dungeon, and was definitely the boss we had most trouble beating. You have to attack both heads with your sword while the heads move around and spit out fireballs. When one head dies, it'll turn red and fly around the room and still try to kill you. GLEEOK shows up 2 more times in the other dungeons with 1 additional head for each encounter. We don't have much trouble beating him now, but is definitely the most memorable boss from the first Zelda game to us. Ocarina of Time has some really memorable bosses, but looking back at them, they're not that epic or challenging. It might just be because we have faced them many times, but they're still somewhat simple. One of the most memorable bosses to us in this game was Phantom Ganon.
Inside the epic forest temple is the villain himself, sitting on his horse. Though, his head changes, and the encounter is with what he calls Phantom Ganon. This boss is great mostly because of the first phase.
While you stand in the middle, he goes inside the paintings on the walls and returns with 2 incarnations of himself, where only one of them will come out to attack.
That's when you have to shoot an arrow at him. It's really creative, and you really have to be quick if you're pointing your arrow towards the wrong one, cause he can do some damage.
The other phase is a battle of Dead Man's Volley, which is a very common fighting style in the series. Not much more needs to be said. We like the encounter, especially because of the first phase, and that Ganon sends a phantom of himself after you and warns you that it won't be so easy when you face the real one. While many people really love this boss because of the music, we like it because of the fight itself. There's no real backstory, the music is good, but it doesn't fit with the boss encounter in our opinion. However, MOLGERA puts up a great battle.
MOLGERA is a huge sandworm inside the Wind Temple in Wind Waker. The room is filled with sand, and this huge monster will stick its jaws out and make the sand sink towards it, dragging you into its mouth.
The tongue is of course the vulnerable point here, and it's sometimes easy to damage it. What we like about this battle is all the things you have to pay attention to. The sand is dragging you down, there are mini MOLGERAs that will respawn when you kill them, and he can even fly into the air, which is an awesome sight.
The battle is tense. You have to pay attention to your surroundings, and the monster is gigantic and just fun to fight, which is why we place it on number 8. One of our favorite games is A Link to the Past, and one of our favorite dungeons in this game is the Palace of Darkness. And it also happens to contain one of our favorite bosses, HELMASAUR King.
This beast looks awesome. It's got a huge mask, long tail that whips everywhere, and the color makes it look so hot that you'll get burned if you just touch it.
The objective is to destroy the mask and uncover the huge green vulnerable spot on its forehead. You can use a few different methods to make this happen, like with the obvious magic hammer that you get inside the dungeon, or with the use of bombs.
The weak spot can be damaged with the sword or bow and arrow, so this means that there is variety to the ways of defeating it, even though it has only one weak spot.
Defeating it is not always easy either, as he lays out fireballs that split into more fireballs, and that tail can come at you many times. It'll even move faster as soon as the mask comes off.
It's not always very hard to beat it, but we like it for what it is. Twilight Princess had a bunch of awesome looking enemies and bosses. Sadly, the boss battles were incredibly easy, at least some of them.
Still, there are a few that are very memorable to us, and for 6th place we chose STALLORD. The battle is really popular because of the use of the spinner. It's almost like a game of pinball, where your objective is to attack the spine.
However, the path down to the spine isn't always open, as the dead are being raised up from the sand, making you bounce all around.
The battle consists of 2 phases. It seems like the battle is over as soon as the spine is destroyed, but after you use the spinner to raise the platform to make your way out of it, the head starts chasing you.
Here, you gotta jump back and forth between the rails and then jump into the head. This whole battle is a bit weird to us. Fun, but somewhat weird for a Zelda game. Still pretty unique though.
What we love about this, however, is that after you went through this amazing dungeon, you stand in front of a giant skeletal monster that ZANT revives, and its appearance is just fantastic. Like we mentioned, Ocarina of Time doesn't have many amazing bosses, but what they did well was giving us a reason to fight them. Almost all of them had great build-ups, and especially when it comes to Volvagia.
We like the battle itself, where you fight inside a very atmospheric volcanic room with a dragon that pops out of holes every now and then and causes huge rocks to fall down. It's cool how you can smash its head with a Megaton hammer, and at least in the 3D version, you can shoot arrows at its head while it's flying. We haven't had a chance to test that out yet in the N64 version, since we noticed it so late in the 3D version.
But again, the build-up. We're worried about the consequences that will play out if we don't kill Volvagia. We hear from the last Goron in Goron City that Ganondorf has resurrected this dangerous dragon, and that he will eat all Gorons if they are opposed to the Dark Master. That's really cruel.
And the fact that all the Gorons are locked up inside prison cells inside the temple and needs rescuing only enforces our will to defeat Volvagia. It's a good fight, good atmosphere, but the build-up is what really sells this boss fight for us. We loved Twin Rova back in the day. The battle wasn't incredible, but the elements of ice and fire definitely made the battle look really cool. But this is not the ice and fire boss we like best in the series, because that would be TRINEXX.
TRINEXX is this big turtle, which is fitting seeing as this is Turtle Rock. But it actually has 3 heads, where the 2 others contain each element. The unique thing is that you need the fire rod, the item you get in Skullwoods, and the ice rod, an item that was never necessary until now and only hinted at from Sahasrara in the beginning to defeat him.
The battle is fairly challenging if you have a weak sword like the Master Sword, because then the battle will take a while, and the huge beast can deal out some damage. The firehead will spew out a row of fire that will stay on the ground for a little while. The ice head will spit out ice and make the floor slippery for the rest of the battle, all while the big head in the middle can come out to attack you at any point.
What makes this battle even better is that it's a 2-phase fight. When the elemental heads are defeated, the head in the middle will come out of its shell, and it turns out to be some sort of stone snake. This phase is really easy, but we appreciate it nonetheless. TRINEXX is a great boss in our eyes because he looks awesome, he's fairly challenging, and requires items you might not have used in a long time or even at all. We're a bit puzzled if this battle counts as a part of the final boss or not. but since there is a clear window between the fight against GHIRAHIM and the mice, where you're allowed to restock on potions, health and such before facing the mice, we decided that the final battle against GHIRAHIM is a regular boss.
What makes this battle great is that GHIRAHIM is the villain who you have met throughout the game, and even fought with a couple of times before. This last battle is the best one though. In his attempt to revive his master, GHIRAHIM uses your dearest Zelda to perform the ritual. This time, you have to end him.
This is a very climactic battle, as you battle him in the sealed grounds on top of these platforms, and you know he's serious when he harden his skin and seem invincible. This is even a 3-phase battle, where your first objective is to knock him off these platforms, and to a huge finishing move every time he falls down.
In the next phases, you're on the ground and fight him again in a sword fight, which is very similar to the ones you have done in the past, but now, only the diamond in his chest is the weak spot. The last phase is very similar as well, but this time he brings out a bigger sword and you have to break through it by hitting in the same spots before he lowers it and fixes it with a flick of his fingers.
This fight is really great, but we don't think it's the best because it's kinda slow, and maybe not different enough from the 2 previous battles you have with him in the game.
But still, the battle is great, it had great build up, so it definitely belongs on this list.
Deciding if GHIRAHIM was the final boss or not was a bit difficult to decide, like we said. But that was not the case with ZANT.
Sure, he was a villain in a similar role to GHIRAHIM, but he's the boss in his own dungeon, and you have all of Hyrule Castle to go through before you face the definitive final boss in this game.
ZANT was a great villain. He seemed really badass throughout the whole game, but this confrontation showed exactly how insane this guy really was.
This battle is long, and weird. ZANT takes you through several different rooms you have faced bosses and mini-bosses earlier in the game, and fight them in a similar, yet slightly different ways. This means that there are a whole bunch of different phases, and you have to use all sorts of different items to get through this battle.
ZANT's behavior is so twisted, as all of his movements looks really weird, and he constantly screams and makes weird noises. The music changes from each stage, and it's sort of a weird remix of the original versions to those particular boss battles, to make it fit more with ZANT's personality. And my god, does it fit.
All of this might not seem too original to some, but that's what we love about the final phase. He takes you south of Hyrule Castle town and pulls out 2 blades to fight you in a way that's different from all the rest. Now, it's really you against him.
His incredibly weird behavior continues to show in this battle, and it's actually a really fun and somewhat stressful battle.
ZANT was a cool and weird villain, and the battle against him came as a surprise to us. With several phases, both tweaked of earlier encounters and a very original one, makes this a great, fun and atmospheric battle. ZANT and GHIRAHIM had the advantage of making their battles important because they were both villains in their own games, which made the battles have a lot of build-up.
Still, there is one boss without that advantage that we found to be even more impressive.
Honestly, it usually takes me a lot of time and several playthroughs for me to get attached to a dungeon or a boss battle after playing a brand new game. But with KOLOKTOS, I love this battle instantly.
The battle against KOLOKTOS is intense and amazing. The appearance isn't the coolest we can find on this list. The battle is awesome. This huge golden robot has 6 arms, where 2 of them protect its weak spot, 2 throw boomerang blades, and the last 2 slam their arms on you if you're within its reach.
There's only need of 1 item from your arsenal, really, and that's the whip that you get inside the Ancient Sister. Its use is to pull off its arms, so that it has to rely on the arms protecting the weak spots to pound you. When those come off, the weak spot is open. But is this all there is to this battle?
Oh no. This robot will get out of the ground, stand on 2 legs, and use all 6 arms to carry swords while protecting the weak spot behind bars. There is no doubt that this part of the battle is the best one.
The music intensifies, and honestly, this battle theme is clearly a candidate to the best boss theme ever in the series. It fits so well and it sounds amazing. I was in awe during this phase, because now KOLOKTOS would come at me, swinging with all of his arms and even summoning cursed bokoblins, all the while the music made it a lot better.
So, how do you defeat him? Well, you get a chance to off its arm when it strikes towards the ground, leaving its sword on the ground for you to pick up. Using these, you can cut off the other arms so that it can't attack you, other than doing a puny little charge attack, or you can go straight for the legs and cut those bars open.
KOLOKTOS didn't have any real build-up, and doesn't really have an atmosphere with its surroundings, but it has an absolutely amazing battle with amazing music. Using a boss's own weapons against it hasn't been done more satisfying than this, and we feel so damn powerful when we defeat this giant creature. So that's it for our top 10 boss battles. What do you think of it? Did this list make sense, or would you change it completely? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video if you appreciated our work. And if you're interested in seeing what bosses we will place on 11th to 20th, let us know in the comments, and maybe we'll make a video in the future.
And remember to subscribe, because for the next video we're going back to another themes list, and this time it will be about instruments, in our top 10 instrument themes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.